Hello all and welcome to this first video in this series where we look at the 2019 Maths B exam as revision for our 2020 exam. The way these videos are going to work is I'll quickly go through the solutions to each question. This first video is just going to focus on the multiple choice questions. At each question, I'll briefly explain what the question is assessing, so what sort of knowledge or content or skill it's looking at, and then go through the solution quickly. Like I said, this first video is just on the multiple choice question. If you're after the short answer solutions, go to the next videos in this mini playlist. But let's jump right into it. So Section A, multiple choice, question 1. If M is a matrix 0, 2, negative 3, 1, and N is that matrix, then find 2M, take away 2N. So what is this question looking at assessing? This question is looking at first doing a scalar multiplication, so 2 times a matrix, and then it's also looking at doing a matrix operation. In this case, it is a subtraction. So scalar multiplication is literally if I had an M, if I made it 2M, well, I'm multiplying everything in the matrix by the 2. So 2M is equal to 0, 4, neg 6, 2. And I have to do the same to N. So 2N is equal to 0, 8, 6, 0, and then I need to do a subtraction. So when I do a subtraction, all I'm doing is performing that operation to the same element or same cell within the matrix. So top left, I'm going to do a subtraction between those two numbers. Then I'll do a subtraction between those two numbers, then bottom left, and then bottom right. So our final answer should be equal to 0 take away 0 is 0, 4 take away 8 is negative 4, negative 6 take away 6 is negative 12, 2 take away 0 is 2. So our answer must be C. Okay. So that's that question. Question 2, if P is an M by N matrix, so it's telling us some size, number of rows is M, number of columns is N, and then Q is another matrix that is N by P matrix, where M does not equal P, so this is a key thing that this M and this P are not the same size, then QP is... And we have a bunch of options. Is it an N by N matrix? Is it an M by P matrix? Is it N by P, M by N, and not defined? So let's have a look at this. What is this skill assessing? This skill is assessing understanding how we state the order of a matrix. So we need to know that if we're told a matrix is M by N, the matrix will look like, it'll have M rows, it'll be M deep, and then it'll go across N columns. So it's assessing, knowing how an order is written, and then what are the conditions to be able to multiply a matrix. So what are the conditions to multiply a matrix? The simplest way is that if we write the order of the two matrices being multiplied, we need the inside numbers to match. So we are trying to find QP. So Q is N by P, so we get an N by P, and we're going to be multiplying it by the P matrix, which is M by N, M by N. Okay, so what we're looking, whenever we write this out, we need these two middle numbers to be the same. We need the middle numbers to be the same. That'll tell us if we can actually do this matrix multiplication. In this case, we have a P and an M, and we're explicitly told P and M are not equal. These two numbers are not the same, therefore this is actually not defined. If we did, instead of QP, if we did PQ, it asked us about that. Well, P is an M by N, and we're multiplying that by Q, which was an N by P. In this case, we can see the two inside numbers are the same, therefore we can actually do that matrix multiplication. So this answer the answer for what the size of it is the outside numbers. So we would get, it would turn, the answer would be equal to an M by P matrix. But in this case, we were asked the first situation. This question last year was really poorly done because people didn't read the order of it. Lots of people did PQ instead of QP. Order matters for matrix multiplication. Yeah, but I'll delete all that because that wasn't actually related to the question directly. Right, question 3, find the inverse of the matrix 1, -1, 1, -2. Okay, so this is pretty obvious what this is assessing. This is assessing if you can find the inverse of the matrix. First off, to do that, to get the inverse, we first need the determinant. Okay, so the determinant of any matrix is equal to the main diagonal multiplied together and then subtract the alternate diagonal. So it would be AD take away BC, where that is A, that's D, that's B, that's C. So let's do this. So we get 1 by -2 take away -1 times by 1. That is equal to -2 plus 1, that gives us -1. Okay. So now our inverse, and we'll call this matrix A just to make life easier for notation. The inverse of A is equal to 1 on the determinant. Let's give myself some space here. Okay. Inverse of A is equal to 1 on the determinant, so we found out the determinant was -1. I did do that right, yes. And then we take our original matrix and we swap the main diagonal. So this is what I call the main diagonal. So we're going to swap those values. So we get -2 up the top left instead and 1 down the bottom right. And then the alternative diagonal, which is what we did in here, we just make those negative. So we switch the sign of those values. So that negative top right -1, and this question's sort of a trick because it's going to look like I'm swapping the values, but I'm not. I'm actually going negative of -1, and then the bottom left I'm also changing the sign of that. So we get 1 on -1, we have a -2, -1, that +1, -1, 1, and then take the fraction inside, which is just multiplying by -1 the whole way through. We get 2, -1, +1, -1. So our answer is E. Okay. Question 4. When the radius of a sphere is doubled, and then we have a whole bunch of options about the volume. Is the volume doubled? Is the volume 8 times larger? Is the volume 4 times larger? Is the volume 12 times larger? Is the volume 6 times larger? Well, this is coming down. This is, what's this testing? Well, it's looking at volume and measurement, but then it's also looking at being able to interpret an equation and understand the relationship that's formed by this equation. So we're doing volume of a sphere, so V equals 4 on 3 pi r cubed. Volume is equal to 4 on 3 pi r cubed. Okay. And it's asking us, what happens if we double the radius? So if we take our radius value and double it, what is going to happen to the volume as a net whole? A way we can do these is do a simple substitution and just actually look at what happens to the value. We can also interpret that part there of the equation, but they'll both sort of line up. It's probably a bit easier if I start showing you than trying to explain it. So what I'm going to do is let r equal to 1, and then I'm also going to let r equal to 2. I've doubled the radius. I start with 1, I start with 2, and then I'm going to look at sort of what happens to the equation and then interpret that. So my volume will equal to 4 on 3 pi 1 cubed, which gives me 4 on 3 times by pi times by 1. Okay, 1 cubed is still 1. What happens if I do that to let the radius equal to 2? volume is equal to 4 on 3 pi 2 cubed, which is equal to 4 on 3 pi. Now 2 cubed is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is times by 8. Now the first half of the equation for both of these is 4 on 3 pi. 4 on 3 pi, one of them is times by 1, the other one is times by 8. By making my radius double, the first one was just times by 1, the second one is times by 8. My volume has become 8 times larger. So that's a way to look at the relationship and how it impacts volume, is doing the substitution. Let whatever the initial state is just always be 1. It makes life a whole lot easier than to do comparisons. And then if it says the radius is doubled, we'll make the radius 2. If it says if the radius is tripled, we'll make the radius equal to 3. And you can use this for other formulas too. If it's looking at the area of a rectangle, it's like start with length equals 1 and then double the length. Well, you start with L equals 1, then also do L equals 2, and then look how it changes. Question 5. The area of this composite shape would be one of those options, and we're looking at this shape here on the right. What is this testing? This is looking at area and then area of a composite shape. The way that we normally look at trying to teach this problem is think of this first as a rectangle, as a full rectangle, and then we're going to take away what happens to be this circle here. Okay, so we're doing, to draw this sort of as equation, we're doing a rectangle, take away a semicircle. So if we keep that in mind, we can now actually we can write this in numbers instead of as a picture. Okay, so our area, well, area of a rectangle, that's quite easy. That is length times width, so we got 6 times 4. And then we're going to take away the area of the circle. Now, area of a circle is equal to pi r squared. We've got half of it, so area of a semicircle is pi r squared on 2. Okay. Or in the way the case they've written, they've got halves out the front. This one, it looks like they may have tried to simplify, but we'll keep going and see what we get and then change the form as need be. The other thing to note is we need to make sure we get the radius correct. The radius is the distance from the center across, it's not the diameter, so the radius in this case is equal to 3. So we have pi times by 3 squared, and then half of that. So we can see straight away this one's got a 6 squared in it, which is wrong, 6 squared in it wrong, so A and B are wrong, 6 squared is wrong, so our only options are C or E, and in this case we've got the half out the front, so what they've got it written as is 6 times 4, take away, and then instead of having the divide by 2, we just write it as a half out the front times by pi times by 3 squared, which means the answer is C. Question 6. Class consists of 490 female students and 510 male students. The students are divided according to their marks, as per this table. If one person is selected randomly, the probability that they did not pass given the person selected is female is. Okay, so we're trying to find out what's the probability that they did not pass, or in this case, yeah, the written as did not pass, given that the person is female. Okay. Big thing here is this word given. So overall, this is a probability and statistics question, but it is a conditional probability because of this word given. That's effectively restricting our sample space. So we're looking at trying to find the probability someone did not pass, but given that person is a female. So we're restricting the sample space. So we're effectively ignoring the males. The males don't count here. We're trying to find what's the probability that they did not pass given they are a female. We can use the equation up here. That's what this is. probability of A given B. So in this case, just to make letters easier, we've got F for female did not pass. I'm going to use P for pass and then P dash for not pass for notation. So we want to find the probability that they did not pass, which is P dash, given that they are female. So that's going to be equal to the probability of P dash intersect female divided by probability female. So if we were using the formula, and I'm going to show you two different ways to do this quickly, but if we're using this formula, the intersection of not pass and female is 60. We've got 60 out of, there's a total of, and because we're doing probability, we're not doing an n, a number of, so we need to actually do the probability. There is 490 plus 510, that's 1,000. All divided by, what's the probability of female? Probability of female is 490 out of 1,000. And we stick this in our calculator because it's asking us, we get 60 divided by 1,000 divided by 490 divided by 1,000 is equal to 0.122448. Keeps going on and on. Okay, which we round to roughly equal to 0.12, which is our answer B. So that's using the formula. We can also do this though interpreting the situation, interpreting the table. Like I said, because we've got this word given here, and I'll just do some erasing to explain how to do this the other way. Like I said, we're asking what's the probability that I did not pass given that the person selected as female. So since they have to be female, we get to exclude all the males. That we effectively get to say they don't exist in this situation. So my sample space is now reduced. I've got 430 female students that passed, 60 that have not passed. That gives me a total. I can just add on here to the end. That gives me a total of, as it says up here, 490 females. So what's the probability that they did not pass? Well, it's 60. 60 did not pass out of a total of 490 females. So I can also say that the probability is equal to 60 out of 490 just by looking at the table. And that gives me the exact same answer on my calculator. And you would have noticed maybe looking at the fraction previously that 60 divided by 1,000 divided by 490 divided by 1,000, if you try to just simplify that fraction, that 1,000 and that 1,000 cancels out and you get 60 divided by 490. 60 divided by 490. It all works out. So there's two ways to do it. Question 7. The perimeter of the sector shown rounded to one decimal place is. So what is this question testing or checking? The ability to find the area of a composite shape. Technically, a sector is sort of a composite shape. It's a modified circle. Right. The formula for a sector, area of a sector, is here. Theta divided by 360 times by pi r squared. Area is equal to theta divided by 3. Oh no, that's it. I made a mistake here where it's asking for a perimeter. My apologies. Perimeter. Need the correct formula. That's not what we want. We want that one. We want that one. 2r plus theta divided by 360 times by 2 pi r. Okay. So perimeter is equal to 2r plus theta on 360 times by 2 pi r. Okay. So let's write down some numbers that we know, or our variables. Our radius is equal to 5 quite clearly. Theta what is theta equal to? Theta, as defined for this formula, is the angle inside the sector. So even though that we're told 100 here, that is not theta. We need the angle inside the shape because this is inside the shape. So in this case, theta is equal to 360. Take away 100 is equal to 260. So now we can finish off our formula. So we get 2 times by 5 plus 260 on 360 times by 2 by pi by 5. Stick all this in the calculator and we're going to get 360 times by 2 by there 5. We get 226. What have I done wrong here? I did a 10 times at the start. That's a plus there. That's what I've done wrong. There we go. 32.689. 32.689, which rounds to roughly, we've got one decimal place there, 32.7. Answer is E. Question 8. For a normal distribution shown below, the mean is 100 and the standard deviation is 20. The shaded area and percentage is what? Okay, so this question is looking at normal distributions, standard deviations, and understanding how a population or sample is normally distributed. So we have our mean is 100, which is right here, and we're told standard deviation is 20. So depending on what textbooks you look at or what notes, the symbology can be quite different, but sometimes it's used that for standard deviation, or sometimes they use an S. Either way, it is equal to 20. So if we go from 0 to 120, that is, we can say we've got our mean, and then over here is one standard deviation across. Now we know that if we have the mean, which we might just use x with a dash on top of it, okay, if we are within plus or minus one standard deviation, so bigger by one standard deviation or less than one standard deviation, that is equal to 68% of the population or sample space. That would be going both sides. Okay, that is going up one standard deviation or down one standard deviation, as well as 68%. A normal distribution is expected to be distributed symmetrically. So since we are halving it, we're ignoring this bottom half. Within the mean, just plus one standard deviation is half of that. So that is 34%. So the answer is C, because we're only dealing with half, the top half of one standard deviation. Question 9. It's just asking to simplify this. So we have x squared, we have an x squared, no x squared in the right-hand denominator. This is algebra, but it's also looking at your quadratic factorization skills. How to go about factorizing, the different ways you can factorize quadratics. And we have 3 quadratics here and then a linear, and it's likely that a whole bunch of these will cancel out as we factorize them. X squared minus 4, that's actually a difference of perfect squares, because we could write that that's the same as x squared minus 2 squared. So we can write that as x minus 2x plus 2, just remembering since it's one square, take away another square. When it factorizes, it's the second term plus and then minus. I'm going to take away this equals, I'm going to take away that. And then we get the numerator x squared minus x minus 6. That doesn't have a coefficient in front of the x squared, so we can just try and factorize this via inspection. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 6 and then add to give me negative x, which is the middle term. So 6 will be a 3 and a 2. I'm going to go, that will be a -3 and a +2. Yeah, -3 times 2 is -6. -3 plus 2 is -1. That works. And then we get times by. Okay. X squared minus 4x plus 3. So again, no coefficient. So we're going to try and factorize this via inspection. A 3. So it has to be 1 and 3 since it's a prime number. And needs to add to -4, so that'll be a -3 and -1. And then the last denominator, 4x minus 8, we can actually take out a common factor. That's 4x minus 1. So we factorize using a difference of perfect squares. We had two quadratics via inspection, and then we had a linear equation where we just had to take a common factor out. Now we get to do a whole bunch of cancelling. X plus 2 cancels, x minus 1 cancels, x minus 1 cancels, and also this x minus 3 cancels with this x minus 3 over here. So all we are left with is x minus 2 on 4. X minus 2 on 4. Nothing is written that way. Have I made a mistake? Give me a sec here. I need to figure out what I've done wrong. No, I've done wrong. X squared minus 4 is... That's right. -3 plus 2, that's right. Right. Oh, it's x, my god. It is x minus 2 on the bottom. Okay. Made a mistake here. Yeah, I've just factorized the linear equation in the denominator wrong, so I need to fix this. Okay, there we go. So it actually happens, it's x minus 2, not an x minus 1. I jumped the gun there. My bad. So that x minus 2 cancels with this x minus 2. There we go, that's better. That gives us x minus 1 on 4. So the answer is D. My apologies there, I jumped the gun. Right, last question. If A and B are independent events such that the probability of A is equal to 0.35 and probability B is equal to 0.46, then the probability of A union B is equal to what? Okay, so we have probability A, we have probability B, we're trying to find union of B. We go up to our formula sheet, we'll see we have this formula here that's called the addition formula, where union, okay, which is what we're trying to find, is equal to probability of A plus the probability B. We have that, but we need this, we need the intercept, probability of A intersect B, which we don't have at the moment. But for this question there is one key word. We are told A and B are independent. A and B independent. Since A and B are independent, and this formula actually isn't given on your formula sheet, something you'll need to remember, but if A and B are independent, we can say that the intersect of A and B, if they're independent, is equal to just probability of A times by probability of B. And this formula only holds true if they're independent. Okay, so if this question said they were dependent or they are not independent, the answer for this problem would be E, cannot be determined, because you can't use this formula, therefore you don't know the intersect, therefore you can't find the union. So if they said they were not independent, or the other way of saying that is dependent, then the answer would be E. But since we are told it, we can figure it out. So the intersect is equal to 0.35 times by 0.46. 0.35 times by 0.46 is equal to 0.1161. So we get the union. A union is equal to 0.35 plus 0.46. Take away the intersect, which is going by this addition formula up here. 0.161. We get 0.649, which is B. So our answer is B. That's it for the multiple choice section. As you can see, that took a while to go through. That was 31 minutes to go through to explain and show the working. Of course, we're expecting you to work through this much quicker because the test is 90 minutes long and there is a total of 10 marks in the multiple choice and 75 marks in short answer. So that's 85 marks. So you need to be close to a mark a minute. So realistically, that multiple choice section should only take you 10 minutes, not the 30 minutes I've taken to do the video. If you have any questions, please contact me via Compass or email. Thanks and bye.